Perfect.
Yep.
All right, cool, man. So, my man Jose, man, I've always wanted to figure out, man, how you got into the business, man, and your journey throughout everything. So maybe you can, for those that don't know about you, I'll kind of give you like a little introduction. This is my man Jose. I've funded a few deals from him. I've seen you had a pool hall at one time, and then you went and started flipping houses. Um, and that's the most that I know about you. So wanted to see if maybe you could give me a little start from your journey. Like what was the what made you get into real estate?
Honestly, I've always been one to. Sorry about that. Had a call. Uh, I've always been one to try to get my own money, not really rely on a 9 to 5. Um, Not that it's wrong, but it's that's more of like a robot job. You do the same thing every single day, and to me, it was a little bit boring. So the first thing that I did was open a pool hall, which I think that's the first time I met you actually.
Mhm.
I opened up a pool hall, but it wasn't going too great. And then me and you spoke about real estate a little bit, which I've always been interested in. I just didn't have the knowledge. Um, and that's where, you kind of gave me the rundown and helped me a lot on my first flip, which I dearly appreciate that. And that's pretty much how I got into real estate.
Oh, nice, man. Do you currently own any other businesses besides flipping houses? I never asked you that.
No, I
No,
don't.
just flipping houses. Nice. Was the pool hall like your first official business that you ever opened up, or did you open up maybe a few in the beginning? I know, like when I was younger, I tried to start. I tried to do like I thought I was gonna be a barber. I tried to do a barbershop business. I tried to do cutting grass. Was the pool hall like your first business that you actually tried to launch?
It was actually, yeah, it was the first business I actually tried to launch. When I was younger, and I'm talking about in maybe like 98, my grandmom used to sell coloring books and calendars
That was you.
uh, in New York. And it was actually a pretty good business. It was like $300 to $400 a day.
Oh
And
shoot.
back then that's a lot of money. Um, and when I used to get home from school, on the days that she wouldn't do it, I used to grab some of the calendars and just go around the neighborhood and kind of just sell them off. So, um, so like I said, man, I was always trying to get my own. I wasn't trying to rely on just a typical job.
Yeah, no, I'm always curious about that. Like where does someone just decide, hey, I want to be an entrepreneur, or does it start young? Are you young and you're like, oh man, you selling those? I could probably sell those and and get a hustle um, going, for that. So like most businesses, right? We always have all these great ideas, right? Like how it's going to go. What would you probably say, like what would you probably say maybe like the top three mistakes that you might have made on the first business that you tried to launch? Because I know my first couple ones were like what do you think?
I think the biggest mistake, and it's still something that follows me around now, is not having the knowledge. You got to know exactly what you're getting into, and not just hope that everything is gonna be smooth
Yeah.
and go correct, because there's definitely a lot of bumps, and you're gonna have to learn how to deal with them and keep going.
Yeah. Well, no, that's true. I read a book. It's called The Richest Man in Babylon. It's like if you want to get it talks about getting advice. Like if you want to be a jeweler, you won't go to a blacksmith for a jeweler's advice. You'd want to go speak to a jeweler for jeweler's advice. A lot of times we get advice from different people that are not even in the industry, and we hop into something that we don't know anything about, and that tends to be the biggest thing that bangs us up. I
Yeah.
definitely think it's like that entrepreneur, mindset where you're like, nah, I can go make anything turn to gold. You get out there and get yourself banged up. So I could definitely relate to that. So I know your first one was quite a journey on the first one. Um, so maybe give us like some ideas on that project. Um, you know, on your first project, how you think it went. and where you think that you could have maybe did a little bit better at, but where do you think you had the most success at?
Yet again, it's gonna go down to the knowledge part. Like
Yeah,
the my first project, the best thing about it was learning because I learned a lot, um, even from my mistakes. Like it's like I said, the best part of it was just learning. Um, I'm not gonna say that I was uh over the top with it because I did kind of lose out a little bit, but like I said, it was just a learning process,
yeah,
and that's actually a lot more valuable than a lot of
yeah.
people would think.
Do you think that most people should go into their first couple flips, not necessarily, I guess you always got concerned because you want to make money off of it, but more so think of it as, if I can make some money off of this deal, and or not necessarily, necessarily not lose everything in this deal, that might be more beneficial. Because it's kind of like your first deal is always like a learning experience in itself, and kind of can pick and choose. I don't know. What do you think? Like something on the means of that.
Um, I think the best thing that somebody could do is get started, first of all, because if you
Yeah.
don't get started, you're not gonna lose, but you're not gonna make a profit either. And on top of that, most of the things that you learn has to be hands-on. It's not something that you're gonna get from a book or from a video. You actually have to do it, and then you'll be like, yeah, that part that I read, this is actually what happened, or the video that I watched. Okay, now I get what he's talking about. So the best part would be to get started. Of course, the more knowledge that you get would be a better thing. But if you don't get started, you're gonna stay in the same place,
You're gonna stay on the sidelines the whole time and keep
pretty
watching it
much.
on TV in a sense.
Yep.
um, no, man, I think it's definitely a good learning experience. What, like, for someone, now that you've gone through the process, right? Like, what would you probably say the big three things that you should learn, before jumping in, or at least be, cautious of before jumping in? Like, what would be your top three that you would think of?
Um, okay, so number one, I would say not to cheap out on anything. Sometimes when you go the cheaper route, which was one of my mistakes with the property in Stratford, the process takes a lot longer. And in this business, I can't stress it enough. Time is money.
Yeah.
Time is definitely money. Um, so make sure you don't cheap out. Number two, make sure that all the paperwork that you're dealing with is in order as far as permits.
The good old permits.
Yes, as far as permits, licensings from your contractors, uh, and try not to be as mean to the inspectors because they can make your life a living hell.
Yeah, man. I remember talking to you like bits and pieces on that one with the contractors and, well, the home inspectors. I don't remember all of it, but I remember bits and pieces of what went down with that, and it didn't sound too good. So okay, that makes a lot more sense. Because you know what, it's not the only person that I've had this happen with. Like, other people, I think it's one of those things that you don't really think about, because you're so focused on all those other things with doing the project, that you don't think, you think, hey, I just need a plumber, but you don't think that, "Oh, I need to go get this license, to get this permit
Yep.
for this and get this permit for this." And every county, every city is always different. Like Stratford, for us, get the CO that time. He just came out there, made sure the smoke cert was in, and then you're going. So I would have assumed that the rest of the project would have went that easy as well, but that that turned out not to be the case.
That's true.
So no, man, that is true, man. Permits, 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 permits,
Yep.
would definitely be the thing. Like, I know you kind of got derailed in the beginning. Maybe walk us through how you kind of were able to, because sometimes you get into those bad ruts where you're like, damn, I'm losing a lot of money at this time. My project is sitting. And at one point, I remember you had like one crew come out, and then you had another crew go in. And sometimes getting contractors to go behind another contractor can always be a nightmare. You know, so, maybe what do you think kind of helped you be able to, you know, while taking losses, still be able to kind of pull that project through, because that sometimes is not as easy as it may seem to do.
Honestly, I gotta say it's more of a mental thing because um, it was a lot of stress for me, especially because I was just getting into it, so I didn't know the ins and outs. Um, the first time that I had to, uh, you know, not to put it like this, but get a contractor off a job, I was stressed because the property was just sitting, and yet again, time is money. So
Yeah,
I think the best thing that I could have did in that position was what I did was take a day or two to myself and kind of like regroup everything and see where I'm gonna go from there. Make a few phone calls to a few friends, um, see if they have a favorite contractor that they're using or something that's gonna benefit my project.
yeah,
Um, so I would yet again say it's a mental thing. You got to be prepared for it, and you got to make sure that if the boat's sinking, you can save what you can save.
yeah.
Don't just go down with the boat.
Nah, that's a good one, man. Because sometimes you can get in those bad ruts, like, man, it was just a heck with it, you know. So the fact that you were able to muscle through it and then just, scrap it and then start again, after taking some heavy blows there, and because I always feel like the contractors are like one of the biggest pieces to it all, because that's the one that's on the job
Definitely.
site the longest. Because that's always a tough thing, as far as, so my mindset on my first deal, I actually had to replace a contractor with a new contractor, as well. And I know when what my first mindset was like, all right, I'm gonna hire this guy. He's gonna bang out this property, and then he's gonna call me and say, hey, Flip, I'm done. And then I was gonna be like, boom, cash and checks, and it didn't work. I would show up, and my job it'd be like pink flip flops on the floor. I was too laid back and relaxed on the job site. You know, I was just thinking that this guy wants to, get it done as fast as possible, so that he can get paid as fast as possible. Like how did you do with, like, contractor management? Did you think that you did a good job with that? And what do you think that you learned from managing with contractors that you hire?
I still got to work on that because I think my biggest downfall when it comes to managing contractors is that I'm too understanding. When it comes to any excuse or any reason, I'm too understanding. I'm like, yeah, all right, but we gotta keep doing this. But I think I gotta kind of push through that and pretty much like dedicate to myself. Like if there's a deadline, it has to be done by this day. If not, then you know
Got to be some sort of
it's not going
repercussions.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that is true. That I think that happens with a lot. I think a lot of the times that I've seen is, one is like we already said. You said it 1,000 times. Knowledge is the biggest thing, because sometimes they might say, "Oh, well, because of this, it's got to go. This is happening." And if you don't really have the knowledge or have anyone that you can bounce this off and say, "Hey, man, this guy is telling me that this is going like this because of certain circumstances," and he comes back to you and you really don't know the process or HVAC, or plumbing, or at least the basics of it, he can kind of tell you almost anything, and kind of delay it, in a sense. So I think that also plays a factor into it. I think that happens to a lot of people. Um, you know, to be able to get on to the next one. Deals completed so far. You did the Stratford one. I know you had bought the one in Hamilton, and then you worked on your own property as well. So
Yep.
sort of you've kind of completed, now at this point, basically about two, three almost now, right? Because your main house, I remember you did like a full kitchen and bathroom. That all got finished, or is that still going on?
That one's all finished, but it was completely new kitchen. We had to knock down the wall there, and then the bathroom was completely done. And then everything else was pretty much the same. Besides my garage, I did that
Did
again.
that one?
Yep.
Nice. So Stratford was like the first official full, like, gut job, and keep rocking and rolling from there. And then, oh no, I think your Hamilton one, right, that you're working on, that was like a complete gut. I think you got that for dirt cheap, but it needed everything.
Yeah.
Like everything. Maybe walk
Yeah.
us through that one, because sometimes I see some newer investors, they might see a property like that and say, I don't really know if I want to, deal with a property like this because, they all want to look for something cosmetic because they're just getting into the game. They might be a little bit nervous, but you seem to just dive right in there. Maybe walk us through that one. I haven't really heard much about that property.
So Hamilton, when I purchased it, uh, I was still doing Stratford. So the contractors that I had for Hamilton, I had to move them over to Stratford because things wasn't getting done fast enough. So I had two contractors work at the same time at the house in Stratford, and then the one in Hamilton kind of just stood there. But this one I got for so dirt cheap. The taxes wasn't that much that I didn't really mind just because I was so focused on Stratford. Um, the one in Hamilton, it was like a full gut job, just like you said. Walls, everything was ripped down pretty much to the studs. You can open a door and see straight to the basement. Uh, uh, it was bad, but at the price that I got it, I can't really complain. I knew what I was getting myself into. It's actually a funny story because I didn't want that house to begin with.
Get
A
the heck out
realtor
of
came
here.
to me. Yeah, a realtor came to me. We went to go see the property, and it was a hoarder's house. So I couldn't see the walls. I couldn't see the floor. I just saw a big hole in the kitchen. And at the price that he was selling it to me, I'm like, yeah, I don't even know why you bothered taking me here. So a couple of days after, he calls me and he's like, hey, Jose, just throw an offer. I'm like, dude, I don't want the house. He's like, just throw an offer. So I literally threw a lowball offer. Um, like I thought they would look at the offer and just laugh and toss the paperwork.
Yeah.
But the offer was accepted to my surprise. And I'm like, all right, then I'll take it, And that project is nearly done. I probably have like a week left. I know all the appliances are coming in about 4 days. Um, and then after that, it's pretty much just a cleanup and wrap it up.
Awesome, man. So that's going to be a good one to get on the market, especially in this market now. It almost works out even better that you held it so long because this market now, with post COVID, well, still going through COVID at this point. It's such a really competitive market that it's going to be really good to see that one go on the market. It's going to go, I believe it's going to go pretty quick. Um,
Definitely.
just by how everything's going right now. Um, Now, on this project, I mean, to have so many moving components going on, coming from your last deal to now this deal, do you think that you maybe, did you make any new mistakes on this one? And were you able to correct some of your old mistakes?
Um, so I did the same mistake that I did in Stratford. And I was too understanding with the contractors. And I think
Yeah,
they kind of took advantage of that, but I'll leave that in the past. It was my mistake. It's something that I learned from and I'm still learning.
yeah,
Because the contractor that I have in there, I'm a little bit more on top of him, but I'm seeing the results. He's doing a beautiful job in there. That house cannot look better if I'd have chose the same materials that he did. Um,
yeah,
so I think I'm getting better at the process, but yet again, it's still a learning curve for me.
yeah. What do you think? So now that you've, kind of wrapping up your second full project, and that one that you had was clearly a monster, and I know the first one was a huge house at that. What on the next project, do you think that you'll probably, do things a little bit differently? Like, do you think that you'll do checklists, or maybe have like a layout on how many, or get the contractor to give you some sort of layout, on how the project is going to go, or and what do you think might be beneficial on the next one? Because I know we just got one under contract. It's going to be a good one. It looks like it's going to be a cosmetic
Yeah,
one that
definitely.
you got a little off market deal. We got you hooked up there.
Yep,
So,
definitely.
what do you think on the next one? What do you think you're going to probably do a little bit different on this one?
So with the next one, what me and the contractor actually started planning on doing was first we got to get in there because I saw the property, but the contractor did not see the property.
Mm,
So not see the property. I want to get in there with the contractor and kind of get a plan of what we want to do. That way we can start buying materials now. And once we get the key to the house, we start moving in all the materials and start taking out everything that has to be taken out. So I believe this one is going to be a little bit more organized as far as materials being there and the job getting done.
Yeah. No, that's a really good idea actually. That way you know structure your day with working on a project. Do you go there every day, every couple days? You know, how does that look like?
So I try to stay in touch with my contractor as much as I can. Um, I'm not going to say that I go there every day, even though maybe I should. Maybe I should start doing that. But it, the best thing that I like about this real estate thing is that I choose the days that I want to work. No one's on top of me. It's not, I got to wake up tomorrow morning at such time because I'm going to be late. No, I get there when I want. I just make sure that the contractor is there when he has to be, you know. So
Oh,
I try to stay in touch with him. I try to make sure that he has all the materials that he needs in order to get the job completed. Um, and then from that, it's pretty much just keeping tabs and making sure that everything's getting done.
that's pretty cool. Kind of wake up, do what you want, play some games. Is everything going well? Everything's going well. Do we need materials? How's the project coming along? Cool. And then go on about your day, spend time with the family. Because I'm always curious about that with you know work life balance between you know family. Because I know you have kids. I've got kids. You had a wife. You know, and all those require a lot of time. You know, to be
Definitely.
there and you know just to hang out and you know structure your days and stuff like that. You know, so I'm always curious, you know, how do you manage to do both of those things at the same time, run a business and spend time with the family? So this business gives you a ton of flexibility, like you said. You know, pretty much the contractors is a matter of managing, and once you get down a good system and they're doing what they're supposed to do, everybody wins. You know, you're able to spend time with your family. So no, that's really good. So I guess like the biggest thing is the mindset of having understanding that you're going to take some losses because you know, sometimes some people, I mean, yourself, I mean, you've taken plenty of losses and you're still going, right? You know, you're
Yep.
finishing up two, and then you know after getting through, you know, some brutal ones, you're still like, I'm gonna go do it again. You know,
Yeah.
so that's a true entrepreneur there, man. Um, what is what is one thing that you wish that you knew before you started flipping houses?
Hmm, let's see. Um,
It's a lot.
it's gonna sound corny, but permits.
That's not great.
I just wish I knew about permits, man.
No, man, because the worst part is you end up getting they end up finding you, and then you still
Yeah.
got to go pay for the permit, and then they hold your job site up, and then
Yeah.
um, you know what's funny? Actually, now that you said that, I totally forgot about it. On one of the projects that I worked on that I had got, it was my third one. It was my third one. I didn't realize that I needed a permit if I tore down more than 50% of the walls in the property. So I didn't know that. So I just figured, oh, I'll go in there demo. I knew about the other permits, but I didn't know that that wasn't actually a permit. So the inspector was driving around and he flagged everybody. Everyone had to get out of the house and he locked my property up for 30 days. So I couldn't do anything for 30 days. So no, that is a really big point that I think a lot of people should take from that is you know permits are you know the biggest thing that you want to definitely check for. Um, what would be some advice that you would give somebody that you know when I was looking to jump into this, you think they should look for you know because there's so many things online like you should look for a mentor or you should look for you know my cousin's an agent or you know like should they look for someone who seems active or you know is it luck by the draw or should they look for referrals you know like what should they do.
Honestly, and I'm gonna answer this as honest as I can. They need to look for you. I,
I
I mean, I'm
appreciate
just
that.
being honest. It's not because you're the host of the meeting. No, they have to look for you. I mean, you got me in it, and whatever questions I had, you answered. And if you couldn't answer it, you would help me find the answer.
I appreciate
You
that.
know, and that was very, very important um, when it came to getting started.
Cool, man. I appreciate that, man. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up for us, man. Um, what would you say success means to you?
Success to me, uh, I mean, it's a lot of different meanings, but for me, it's just actually getting out there and doing it, not just looking, but actually doing it. Because once, whether it ends good or bad, once you finish, you're like, yeah, I did it. I'm successful. Yeah,
That's good, man. Well, hey, brother. Well, I appreciate all of your time, man. I always wanted to ask you a bunch of questions, so I'm glad that we were able to do this, man. And
definitely.
and I look forward to working with you on your next one.
Anytime.
All right, man. Enjoy the rest of your day.
All right, man. You too.